Evening, folks. Welcome back to the Leeds View for the match day preview for Leeds versus Tottenham Hotspur as Spurs visit Elland Road for the first time in a couple of years. And there's some interesting statistics on that one to get stuck in towards the back end of this video. Hope everyone's doing fine. Hope you're having a good day so far. It's a weird YouTube day. It's pretty quiet on the ground for the press conference today from Daniel Farke as well, with some interesting questions and some, well, lots of non-questions asked as well, but there's some interesting detail that we will likely cross over as we get through this. We won't keep you too long. We'll be in and out probably less than a half an hour, but important to get this stuff out. We're going to go through the form guide for Leeds and for Spurs home and away form. We're going to look at the team news, key statistics and data coming into this game, likely predicted lineups, as well as some key things and talking points just to watch out for as Leeds take on Spurs. And probably the trickiest game at home so far this season. People will say Newcastle, but based on positioning in the league right now and Champions League football, right now Spurs are the best side this season to visit Elland Road. I'm going to have to see if we can deal with that. I'll get your comments up on screen as well. Paul Brennan's in the house. Good evening, Paul, to you. But yeah, let me know in the comments section what you want from us, the score prediction-wise, what you think the team lineup will be, what you want to see, the top three things you'd like to see Leeds do in this game, or what you'd like to see Leeds carry on from other games that they've played in this season. Would love to know your thoughts on all of that. But there is a little bit of stuff to get stuck into, as I say, and we'll start off with the form guide for both these sides, get stuck into that and see where we are. We'll get a couple of graphics up on screen as well to give you something to look at while I'm talking. But Leeds are up first as the home side. We played 6 games so far this season. We've won 2, drawn 2, and lost 2 with 8 points in the bag, scoring 6 goals, conceding 9. With a goal difference of -3, the bulk of that obviously is coming as a result of the Arsenal game and that 5 goals that we conceded there. It would be nice to keep the goals against Bournemouth down a little bit as well, but it's okay. We're sitting 12th in the table, 4 points above the relegation zone. And interestingly enough, if we were to beat Spurs at Elland Road on Saturday morning, Leeds would go 1 point away from them, and they're just having a very strong start to the season so far. So it's an interesting one as well. From a home form perspective, Leeds United have played 3, won 1, drawn 2, lost none at the moment. It'd be nice to keep those L's to a 0 for as long as we possibly could. This will be a very tough game in order to do that, but it will be a big challenge and it'll be an interesting task to see where Leeds United squad is now after these 7 games by the time this one is over. We've scored 3 at home. We've conceded just 2, a +1 goal difference, which is very positive. Again, if those 2 goals hadn't gone in against Bournemouth, or at least one of them, which was preventable, that's been a little bit better as well. Currently also 12th in the home form table as well. Moving on to Spurs, they're currently have played 6, same as us. 1, 3, drawn 2, lost 1. Have 11 points on the board. Scored 11 goals, conceded just 4, with a goal difference of +7. Sitting forward, as I say, in the table. A Leeds win, as I say, will narrow the gap between us and them to just a single point, which would be very interesting to see. We've got to keep an eye on some of their players as well. They've got some interesting ones. Top goal scorer for them so far this season, Richarlison, has started the season really, really strongly. Has 3 goals to his name. Palhinha has 2. Brennan Johnson also 2. And then Mickey van de Ven and Pape Sarr have also clocked up some goals as well. From an assist perspective, some interesting ones to keep an eye here as well. Mohamed Kudus and Sarr are the 2 to watch. Kudus with 3 assists so far this season, and Sarr with 2. And there's going to be some interesting battles to keep an eye on in this match as well, and see how Leeds individuals do 1v1. We'll get to all of that stuff in a couple of minutes, but we have got some team news. We'll get to that after we just jump into the comments really quickly just to see how everyone's getting on. Paul is here. Good evening, Paul, to you. Tim is saying, hi, Jer. Is dropping Bial into a back 3 and using Bogle or Gabby or Jack as wing-backs a way to get around the shortage on the right wing? Daniel Farke will not change his formation mid-season. Just won't happen. We can all talk about it. I think there's merits to it, especially in certain moments in the game. I do think he might consider, after last weekend's issues in the injury time issues, I should say, sorry, I think he might consider bringing an extra centre-back on in those situations, but you're not going to see a manager who spent the entire preseason working on a style of play and a formation change it 6 games in just to account for the right wing. He'll play Brendan Aronson there, who was fine for me in the last game against Bournemouth. We know the limitations with Brendan, but we know what we get from him from a positive perspective as well. Paul Brennan here as well, feeling positive. It should be a cracking match. It's going to be a tricky match. We're going for a 1-1 draw. Yeah, I'm the same as you, Paul. I think a 1-1 will be a decent result for Leeds coming into this, but it would be fantastic to see Joe Rowan score that goal. It really would be. Adrian, good evening to you. I hope you're well, mate. Nigel Miller, take a draw, but I feel we could win. There's a lot of people saying that we'll take the draw, but you wouldn't be against nicking a win in this one, but it won't be easy. It definitely won't be. A win would be marvelous. It absolutely would be. Steve is here saying Spurs don't beat us on Saturday. A draw would be fine. The record books would suggest that everything is in Spurs' benefit, but we'll show you those details later on. Leeds. Absolutely. Woof, woof. In the comments are saying, I've got the fear that we'll get to the 40 points. I got the fear we will get to 40 points, but everyone else will get 41. I hope Leeds don't lose one. I want to keep the home form running. It's important that home form be vital this season. Andy in the chat, good evening, Andy. For a relatively new squad, statistically, Leeds should improve. And they do. And I think if we look at Daniel Farke's form, I spoke about this on a short and the podcast last night as well. Daniel Farke's sides tend to take about 8 to 10 games to get going. This will be game 7. We should start to see this picking up a little bit. I think a lot of my criticisms of the team's performance relative to where we are in the league, that should be said, all come from the fact that probably start a bit slow, but this will pick up and I think it will start to click into gear a bit more even soon. It's been fine so far. I'm very happy with where we are, but I think there is more to come. And I think this Leeds side is probably better than we think they are. And for me, I want to see them do more in every game. Good evening, Luke. Hope you are well. Evening all. Just want us to compete and believe that we belong here. It's a great chance to get a result at home. Spurs in the last 2 games haven't been great. They haven't been great in the last 2 games at all. And we do belong here. I don't think we've been against anybody that we haven't competed outside of Arsenal as the outlier. But every other game, I think Leeds have been very competitive. They've not looked weak by any stretch of the imagination or looked out of place at all for me. So, yeah, I think we absolutely belong. Emmett saying Leeds 2, Spurs 1. Nigel saying we'll win this one, I'm sure. Take a point out, same as first time in a while catching a live. Where have you been? Where have you been? I've been here every day. Where have you been? Nice to see you here, though, Texas Leeds. Good on you. Gavin Parry saying be all on last instead of would have probably been 2 more points by now. Yeah, but hindsight is 2020, and we can all say that after a game. I think a few of us thought it was a strange change. Daniel Farke did comment on it. He was asked about you don't make change at set pieces, and he says he normally doesn't. But in this situation, he looked at the back line and thought nobody needs a change there. He looked at midfield, thought they were fine, didn't need a change. So if we were going to make a change, it was up front. I think in the 91st minute, you probably bring on a defender just to see the game out and manage that one. And he did say if it was a cross, probably brings on a defender instead. But the interesting point of that was Leeds were defending a deep free kick that was likely to go across the box, and it did. And it would have been great to see an extra body in there. But he did make a very valid point, though. Lucas Mecha replaced Dominic Calvert-Lewin, whose positions were on the left-hand side of the penalty area, so it wouldn't have impacted what happened on the right-hand side. And Joe Rodon talked about this week as well. And Pascal Struijk and Joe Rodon both attacked that ball and both don't win that first header. And Rodon himself said it's his job to win that first header, and he should have done it, and he didn't. But he's taking responsibility for that. Danny Talk Sport Talk Leeds in the chat saying, smash like. If you could stick a like on the video, same with the news video today. It really helps the video, especially at the moment when things are struggling and we're struggling to make ends meet here at the moment, and we're a little bit panicky about the future of this. But if you could smash a like, it definitely does help us a huge amount. Luke is also saying 1-0 would be amazing, but 1-1 still isn't to be sniffed at. Not at all. Not at all. Texas say, are you working? Also, just turn notifications back on. You should catch them. They're great to see you back, mate. Some people had notifications switched off because YouTube changed their algorithm, and sometimes it unsubscribes people and changes the notification bell. But you can check them on your individual channels to see what story is there. Emma saying Okafor and Calvert-Lewin to score. I have a sneaky feeling Brendan Aronson scores in this game. Don't know why. Think he will. Michael saying a good result on Saturday and we can go on a bit of a run with the upcoming matches. Yeah, the international break comes at a decent time and then we got a decent couple of matches afterwards. Definitely 3 and 5, I think we could win. Paul says Sean Longstaff on corners. Yeah, absolutely. And he's proven a point that all you got to do is deliver a ball into an area and let the big man attack it, and that works absolutely fine. It doesn't have to be overly complicated on the cross. Hype after the lives too. Yeah, if you're watching this on demand, scroll to the right of the comments and there's a little button that says hype. Press that and that helps us as well. So all good stuff. Danny says going for a 1-1, but a win would be amazing. And Mike is saying agreed on that as well. Yeah, I would be inclined to agree on a 1-1. I think a 1-1 will be a very, very strong result for Leeds United. Let's get into the team news after Daniel Farke's press conference today and the Spurs team news as well. And we start off with Leeds United as the home side. And a couple of interesting ones. Dan James, we were told it wasn't a serious injury and he wasn't going to be out for a considerable amount of time. And then Daniel Farke tells us he rolled his ankle, but he's going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. That's not a rolled ankle. That is usually a sign of some ligament damage. in the ankle. And hopefully it's on the 4-week side and not the 6-week side, because that brings us into the back end of November, December time. At that point, getting up to fitness again, you're into the January transfer window time frame there as well. So it would be interesting to see that. But he is likely to be up for 4 to 6 weeks. Dan James, Willie Gnonto calf is still causing a problem, although Daniel Farkas said it doesn't need surgery. So he's likely back on team training next week and should be back with the squad fully after the international break, assuming everything goes to plan. Lucas Perry has trained yesterday with the squad, but Daniel Farkas said he won't be available for selection for this game. So Carl Darlow will still operate in goal. Ilan Meslier will continue on the bench for now. Interesting to see what's going to happen with there and that situation coming closer to the end of December. Harry Gray is a doubt for this game. He did report with a bit of a hip flexor issue after the last under-21 game. He looked a little bit sluggish in the under-21 game, the last one out. Didn't look his usual sharp self, but he's a bit of a doubt on this one. If you're wondering what wobbly line means, that's a doubt. There was nothing between a cross and a tick, so I went for wobbly line. But that's the one to keep an eye on. But he is touch and go, and it would be nice. I think we all agree it would be very nice to see Harry Gray get onto the pitch with his brother at Elland Road for that game. It might be a special moment for the two of them. Assuming Leeds are winning first and foremost. That's the most important thing. Then let's have the family reunion in the centre circle afterwards, and we'll see how we get on. But yeah, that'll be an interesting one. Spurs are coming into this game and travelling with their own set of issues, and they've got quite a few. 2 different sections for them. We've got their out players, and they will be without James Maddison, Dejan Kulishevsky, Radu Dragusin, and Yves Bissouma are all out of this game. There is a question mark over Romero as well. He's possibly going to miss this game as well. But they've got doubts over 4 more players. Ben Davis is a doubt. Koda Takai is also a doubt, with Dominic Solanke missing up front for them potentially in this game, as well as Randall Kolo Muani, which is a nice plus for Leeds. Should he be out of this game? He's a good player, Muani. Wouldn't mind seeing him out of the team. But they've got a lot of squad depth. Archie Gray hasn't started a huge amount of games this season. He might even start in this game on his return to Elland Road. And fingers crossed, it's a quiet one for him. He's been good this season when he has played, but he's still very much finding his form back in midfield. They're playing the bulk of last season at centre-back for them. Before we get to the statistics, we'll jump back into the chat just to see what everyone has been saying. We get the right one. Andy is saying 2 years ago, nobody then could believe that Aronson gets a tap-in against Chelsea. We'll get to that game because that actually comes up in this, Andy. Mind reader you are. Emmett is saying, I think it's 3-1 for us, either of 2-1 Okafor and Lewin and Longstaff to score. Emmett, if that happened, that would be amazing. It would definitely show where Leeds are sitting this season. Seamus saying, evening, Jared, this week we get the result 1-0 DCL. Come on, Leeds. Let's go, Leeds. Yeah. Paul Brennan saying, oh, that's a blow for Dan James. It is a bit, but it could have been worse. It could have been the ACL that was floating around. Luckily, that turned out to be false. John Charles, the big man, says, hi, Jared, confident that we'll get something from Spurs game. I think we'll be improving every game. My only worry is the right wing if Aronson gets injured. That is a problem. Lucas Metcha can play wide. He might just switch things around a little bit. Jack Harrison is a right footer, so could play on his natural right side, and that'll be interesting to see. But this is an interesting point that you're pointing out here. We have been improving every game. With the exception of that Arsenal game, for me, Leeds have looked more and more comfortable. There's one thing that has changed, and I want to talk about this towards the end of the video. Leeds were far more aggressive against Everton and Newcastle than they have been in the last 2 games, been more in the opposition's faces. And I thought that was working really well for us this season. I want that aggression back from Leeds. It's dropped off a little bit in the last couple of games, and we've dropped off as well at times in those games, and I want to see us push on a bit more. I will always look for the area of improvement. There's no point in me coming on here and doing streams and telling you how great everybody is. I want to focus on the areas that Leeds need to improve on and need to get better on if they're going to progress this season. And I've got a coaching background. I'm naturally going to just jump into that. So at times I might come across a little bit more critical than I need to be, but I am looking at the areas that you need to improve on. It's always important, even after wins, to look at areas you can improve on. They always say you learn nothing from a win, you learn everything from a defeat. So when you win, it's also important to have a little look at the cracks that are there and see what you can do. Ellie, good evening to you. Wondering what YouTube has got against everyone. It's everyone. It's not just us. It's just they did this update on their algorithm and it has halved everybody's views, which has also halved everybody's monetization. This is a full-time job. So if that goes in half, I've got to start looking for other jobs. It's a tricky point. We're trying to just tough it out at the moment and see if we can survive till Christmas and then see where we are coming into the new year. And hopefully YouTube sorts itself out. But every like, tick, share, comment, all that helps in the meantime. Steve is saying Spurs don't usually win before an international break. Fingers crossed that continues. They haven't won the last 2. Fingers crossed to make that 3. And we can get a result going into international break of what would be a very, very good block of fixtures Should we get something out of this? Telly, good evening to you, my friend, says, mate, we must not underestimate Spurs. They still have a bucket full. They've more than a bucket full. They've several bucketfuls of talent. I don't think that this will be a straightforward or easy game. I've got the things that I want to talk about towards the end of this that I do want us to be mindful of coming into this game and things that we need to have a look for. And he says, the jury is still out for me on Perry. His showman stuff doesn't impress me like Darlah's basic coolness. You've got to give this goalkeeper time. He's just arrived at the club. Let's go back to, I keep the same point. We write off players way too easily when they come to Leeds. Everyone was writing off Sean Longstaff when he has arrived. He's proven them wrong. People thought Gabby Goodmunson, because Mohamed Salah pocketed him last year in the Champions League. Everyone thought he wouldn't do it. He's been phenomenal. Jaden Bogle, after 8 games last year, has been called washed already. Turns out one of our best players over the last year and a half. So give all of them time. He doesn't speak the, like, kind of speaks the language. It's a new country. It's a very different change from playing in France and Brazil to playing in Yorkshire. That's going to take him time as well. So give him time. He's a very good goalkeeper in there. He might not be great with his feet, but his job isn't to be a passer or a 6 or a 10. His job is to stop the round thing going in the big white netty thing behind him, and that's all I want to see from him. Robert's going for 2-0 Leeds United win. Texas Leeds says, if we stay as solid as we have been and keep concentration, vital that we keep concentration for the full 90, we can get something. I believe you're right. What makes you think Aronson to score? I don't know. He scored this time last year. Oh, sorry. At this point, the last year we were in the Premier League. I don't know. I just feel a goal's coming for him. I've been impressed from the last couple of games. I know there's a creativity issue, and I'm not talking about that. Just the work rate and the positions he's finding himself in. I feel like a goal is coming. I don't know. Maybe I'm just patron saint of lost causes. I don't know. Maybe something like that. Andrew says that we will get a result, but don't make subs with 3 minutes to go. Yeah, that's also a point we'll cover towards the end of this. Seamus, come on, Leeds. Hit that like button. Thanks, lads. Appreciate that, mate. Thank you. Fark has been bigging up Pirro. I wonder if that crosses over to the game. I don't know. I don't think he fits the style of play we've got right now, but I do agree with Daniel Fark. There's definitely a position for him somewhere. The good thing with the lads, get on all positive play for each other as well as one feeling positive. We have a good bunch of honest, humble. We've a workman-like side, Paul. We've a very workman-like side. The great YouTube reset happens once every 3 or 4 years, but it is happening. Evening, Jer. Good evening, Helen. How are you? Do you see Archie starting? I do think he'll start, yeah. I do. Just because they're missing a few players as well, I think it's probably a good game for him. He's familiar with the surroundings. He'll be welcomed back by the Leeds faithful as well. So, yeah, I think he will start. I'd be happy with a draw, but a win even better, says Alan. I would agree with that. A little chit-chat in the conversation there. And Steve says, if that list of Spurs players don't make it on Saturday, then their bench will be made up of a lot of 120s. They've got a deeper bench than we do. There'll be plenty of bodies on that bench. I wouldn't worry about it at all. Mairead, good evening to you. Thanks very much. Appreciate that, Sinead. Legend. Mairead is legend. Johnny's saying other podcasters are also having issues. Everyone is. Everyone across the full spectrum. Every single one. And Owen is saying, I don't care that Perry has bad feet. I'm right here with you. Every time I see Darlow get a pass back, I panic. He just likes to leave it a bit late, Darlow. I don't mind Carl Darlow at all. Very steady goalkeeper, being very good for us. Lucas Perry, for me, is a better shot stopper and goalkeeper all up in terms of saving things. And that's the priority for me. The footwork stuff is a nice bonus to have. I want clean sheets. That's all I want. Brendan Aronson deserves a goal. God bless him. We're at that territory with him, aren't we? I'm not religious, but you know what I mean? Like anything. Rabbit's foot in his boot, whatever it can. Get a goal. Come on, Brendan. And Carl is saying, going to the game first and only one this season, unfortunately going there with a mix of Leeds and Spurs fans to bring on the 3 points. Darlow looks good. He hasn't let us down so far. I'm a bit critical of the draft excluder situation because as a coach, it's the goalkeeper's job to set up the wall and he needs to position him where he needs to be. Brendan's lying on the ground. That's the goalkeeper. It's the only criticism I have. The only one. Thomas the Farke is a decent manager. He's a very good manager. He absolutely is. And he said, do you think Farke is now set in his ways? Formation was, I think it's locked in. Done. 6 games in playing a 4-3-3. I like a 4-3-3. It gives him flexibility. We'll be fine. Sacrificial chickens. Paul, I think agree start with the start here. It would be nice if Harry Gray gets on the park if he's past fit. Helen says that my dad thinks that Melier should start ahead of Boda there. I definitely don't think that. I think his time has come and gone. JD says, evening all, I believe as usual the lads will be up for it and give them a torrid time. That's a big point. Big point. And we'll get to that in the end. Jerry, what did Farke mentioned about Biel's national team manager comments. I missed that. We covered it in the news 2 days ago as well. Oh, sorry, yes, in today's news, actually. Go check out today's news if you can as well. It's really struggling, but if you could watch that, that would be massively helpful as well. Basically, the Slovenia manager has agreed with Daniel Farke's view of things. Goes back to the suspension for the first game of the season, then his game against Sheffield Wednesday in the Cup. All that's lined up, and basically supported Farke's decision and says he has to get back into the team on his own merits, and we'll have to see what he can do. Vega, good evening, man. Says 2-1 to Leeds. We finally finished our meal before leaving the table. And Andrew says, why doesn't he go 4-4-2? Because nobody does anymore, mate. No one's trained at 4-4-2. We, growing up, were trained in 4-4-2 and could easily revert back to it. Young players nowadays are trained from kids in a 4-2-3-1 and a 4-3-3. 4-4-2 is foreign to them at this point. The other problem with playing a 4-4-2 is you sacrifice the midfield player. Midfield battles are massively important. If you've got 3 in there, that's the ticket. But nobody's braving up. I love the romance, though, Andrew, of a 4-4-2. I'd love to see it brought back. And then I think Joe Pirro probably comes into his best. You put him up top with a DCL and getting flick downs. But it's a very brave manager that sacrifices the midfield in order to go 4-4-2. You can talk about a 9 dropping in and covering, but it's secondary stuff. We'll pause it there and we'll get into the statistics coming into this game. There's a couple of interesting ones to watch, and the return of a name that some would like to hear, most probably won't. We'll start off with the first statistic, and this one relates to Eric Cantona. Eric Cantona scored the first ever Premier League hat-trick in this fixture on August 25th, 1992, when Leeds ran out 5-0 winners. Leeds are looking for... Oh, I missed a spot there. Sorry. Leeds are looking for their first win in front of supporters since November 2001 against Spurs. We did beat Spurs 3-1, but that was during COVID in the empty stadium. In the 52 games between these two sides in the league and in the Cup at Elland Road, there's only been 2 red cards, and both were given to Spurs players. Paul Miller in October 1979 and Alan Gilzean in April 1968. I probably said Alan Gilzean's name incorrectly. Leeds have lost 9 of their last 11 Premier League games against Spurs. We've won 1 and drawn 1, but those defeats do include each of the last 4 in a row, the longest ever league losing run to Spurs. Tottenham have won each of their last 2 league visits to Elland Road. And if they win on Saturday, it'll be their first 3 in a row at Elland Road in the club's history. Leeds haven't won any of their last 11 Premier League matches that kicked off before 3 p.m. since the 3-0 win over Chelsea in August 2022. That game kicked off at 2 p.m. and that's probably why I think Brendan Aronson's going to score this game, because he scored in that one. But it's just a lot of interesting little things to keep an eye on. We'll get the last set of comments in before we get to the key things I want to see Leeds build up for in this game. Try and find my spot in the comments now. There it is there. 4-4-2. There we go. Steve says, would everyone be happy with a point? I think so. Don't agree with my dad. Please. Don't be encouraging him. White Swan says, Aronson played 10 and now 7 versatility, and he puts in his shift, credit where credit is due. Absolutely. If you're judging him on his abilities, that's hard work, pressing, and shutting players down. Does it very well. Needs to let the ball go a little bit earlier times. If he does that, he could be really good out there. He's been okay for me, but if he can release the ball a little bit earlier, for me, I think he'd be very, very strong. Robert says, I'll be watching Big Up while I serve customers. We will be doing a watch along over on bigup.com. If you're not familiar with that, it's a different platform, bigup.com. Search the Leeds View. You'll find us there. It's free to join. It does ask you to become a member, but it's completely free. There's no ads. We do chit chats over there. We do watch alongs over there, and we do press conference reactions over there. You can come and join us there if you want to as well. Champs2 Bro says, evening, Jer. Hope we win 2-1. For me, the crowd will be important. Always are. Always, always are. Andrew says, good reply. Well, thank you, Andrew. Appreciate that. LD West Yorkshire Retro Gamer. Joe in the chat says, at least we won't be going to man. Yeah, sorry. At least we won't be going man to man against them like we did in the Bielsa days. I can never forget the way Harry Kane kept drifting deep into the midfield and dragging our centre halves with him. One thing to keep an eye on. It's a niggle from me, and it's only a little niggle. I've talked about it a lot. I'll do more work on this over the international break and do some more detailed digging on it. But Pascal Struijk getting dragged out of position because he's locking on to attackers. Maybe that's a hangover, but he tends to follow them into different places, which can leave space in behind him. Needs to be mindful of that. Nearly got caught against Bournemouth. Nearly got caught against Wolves. Got away with it both times. But I think it will, if he keeps doing it, he will get caught eventually. Just one thing to be mindful of. If a player goes deep, let him go deep. Stay where you are. Steve says we need to keep the levels up, and we have, as we have this season, we'll be fine. Absolutely. West Yorkshire Retro Gamer says, Hart says 2 to Leeds, Head says 1-1. Yep. DCL hat-trick. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice, Gary? And he's saying Cantona leaving Leeds. Sacrilege. I know, yeah. I know. Listen to your heart. Who said that? Roxette. There you go. There's a callback. Aging myself with that comment. Michael says, Jer, could you see players leaving in January window due to lack of playing time, like Piero Borneo, who doesn't make the bench? And Mecha, I don't think Mecha goes anywhere. I think Piero's probably the question mark come January. If Leeds need desperately a right-sided player, then they might have to sacrifice somebody who's not playing, and that's when the more ruthless decisions will be needed. I like Joe Piero an awful lot. I just don't feel he fits the style. It's not his problem. It's a style problem from Leeds' perspective. But yeah, it was Roxette. Thanks, Ellie. Appreciate that. Robert says that the rugby tackled our keeper into the net last time. They won't get away with that this time. I've got PTSD watching Melee the last few years. Same as all of us. Point will be good. I would agree with you there, Paul. Emmett says sometimes 4-4-2 to work in the Premiership against teams and give it some steel at the back, and we play Arsenal and Liverpool and Man City, and we get points off them. I don't know. It's a tricky one. I see the merits of it, but it's just in modern systems and modern football. It's hard. It's hard, but the game is changing back to the old ways. Long throws are coming back into fashion. More aggressive style. Teams now playing to their strengths rather than everyone trying to play out from the back all the time. So maybe it could happen. Even Karen says, creating chances, could be more worried if we weren't. Stay positive. We're creating tons of chances. We've got to start converting them. But that's an old school Leeds problem. Helen, do I really have to explain, Danny? You might have to. They're having a chat. I'll leave you to have a conversation. Donna says, Guy from Roxette is a Leeds fan. True story. Is he? I did not know that. That's interesting. I like Roxette back in the day. Helen says, I was at Sunderland and I still haven't forgiven him for that. Yeah, that's going to go on a bit as well. Right, let's get to the last few bits and pieces. What we want to see from this game and my own personal preferences on this. These are very much my personal preferences. You can let me know in the comments. If you're watching on demand, if you're watching it live, you can stick it in the chat and you can let me know what your thoughts on this are. But for me, Leeds have started a couple of games this season pretty strong in the first 5, 6, 7 minutes. And then they've started to drop off and concede possession and concede space, more importantly, a little bit. So for me, I want to see a really strong, aggressive start from Leeds. I want to see what we saw against Everton and Newcastle from the very first whistle, in their face, making it difficult, making it uncomfortable for them to play, turning them around and sending them back to their goal and letting them play in their own half and Leeds defending with the opposition in their own half. That is really important. It was working so well, but in the last couple of games, it's just started to eke out of the game a little bit. And maybe that's a sacrifice. Maybe we're going for goals. Maybe to sacrifice something. Maybe that's what it is. But I'd like to see that. It's a big one for me. My big critique of Leeds last weekend against Bournemouth, and it was only in the first half. I thought we were phenomenal for most of the second half, but I didn't think so in the first half. We gave the ball away unnecessarily, and I'm trying to hold Leeds to the standards that they're setting for themselves. So the comments that the players have made and the comments that Daniel Farke has made. And Farke has talked an awful lot about Leeds knowing when to release the ball and knowing when to keep possession. And for me, in the first half against Bournemouth, Leeds gave the ball away far too easily. They conceded space. They conceded possession unnecessarily at times. Sean Longstaff was brilliant in that game. Phenomenal second half by him. It was three opportunities in the first half to pass the ball simple, and he went for a complicated pass over his head and gave away possession in his own half. That needs to stop. They need to tidy that up. Keep hold of the ball, be tidy in possession, and take care of the football. Massively important in this division. If you lose the ball in this division, you can concede a goal like that. Vital. The Leeds are mindful of that. And to Daniel Farke's comments, and I'm only holding him to his own words, keep possession of the ball. And when you're under pressure and when you're feeling under the cosh a little bit, that's when you put your foot in the ball, slow the game down and try and keep it. When we get a chance to move forward and go quickly, move the ball, get forward and have a crack at them. Managing the game is an important aspect of this as well. And this comes down to the substitutes. And I don't just mean subs for the sake of making subs or to change the way the game is going. We saw Bournemouth use their bench very well last week. They brought fresh players on from the 58 minute on, I think it was. They started to bring on fresh players. This is now the bench that Daniel Farke has built. 2 years ago, I could turn around to that bench and say, it's not a good bench. He doesn't trust it. I back him on that. Last year, probably 50-50. This year, that bench has some talent on it. It's got some depth. And I need to see Daniel Farke use that bench to freshen things up when the players are getting tired. If Dominic Calvert-Lewin is flagging at 60 minutes, bring on Lucas Mecha. If Noah Okafor is flagging at 60 minutes, bring on Jack Harrison. Do what you have to do, but keep that team fresh. We didn't do it against Bournemouth. And if you look at the last 15 minutes of that game, Bournemouth really took over that game. Fresher players. And then it comes down to fatigue as well. Ethan Ampadu at the back post switches off for a split second. As the ball's getting across the box, he starts to wander with the ball and then he can't get back in time. So fatigue is an issue as well. They've got to play for 90 odd minutes until the whistle goes and stay focused. And for that to happen, Leeds need to make sure the bodies on the pitch are fresh. Just because Ethan Ampadu is our captain, he's been one of my favourite players this season. I think he's been brilliant. But just because he's the captain doesn't mean he has to play 96 minutes every single week. If he's getting tired, he's only come back from an injury, freshen it up. Leeds have got the bodies on the bench this season to do it. And I'd like to see that happen. The injury time stuff is an issue as well. Concentrate. I'm sure they've worked on it this week. There's no doubt there's been conversations. Conceded late goals in 2 games this season. That has to be looked at. Sort that out. We should be fine. And then the big one for me in an attacking sense is more support to Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And I don't just mean the football. What I mean by that is when the ball goes into Dominic Calvert-Lewin's feet, we've got to get bodies around him. There's got to be a midfielder getting close to him in order to get a pass back from him. And we've got to see the wide players trying to get in behind. Third man runs, little slide balls between the lines of the defence to get the attackers into good positions. We tend to go laterally quite a lot when we get the ball to DCL's feet. It goes left and right. We want to see it coming back a little bit, advancing players, get in behind and get runners into the penalty area as well, and then support him as much as we possibly can. He can be a little bit isolated at time, and it's not fair to rely on one player to try and do everything in the attacking third. Got to get more support around him a lot more consistently. There's been times we have done it really, really well. Just got to be a little more consistent for me. And then again, main point, getting back to being aggressive in their faces. Not saying dirty Leeds, but I like a bit of physicality on my sides. Against Newcastle, we rattled them a little bit. We rattled Everton a little bit as well. Want to see more of that. From a Spurs perspective and looking what we need to do against Spurs and how we stop them from playing in this game, one of the big factors will be exactly what I'm looking for us to do at DCL. They will do very well. Runners in behind. You will see the ball going into their striker's feet. Richarlison will hold it up and you'll see players bomb past him. He'll set it back a yard and then the ball will go into those players who are attacking. He'll spin and try and get in the box as well. So Leeds need to limit both those. Runners in behind, a decent line there to make them offside. And also if it does go short, press quickly and cut out those opportunities. Don't give this Spurs team space. They like to play in it. Keep it to a minimum if we can. And then a really big battle for me is going to be Gabby Goodmunson up against Mohamed Kudus. Kudus is a fantastic player. He likes to come inside with the ball. He likes to shoot. He likes to be creative. He can move as well. It's a tough day for Gabby Goodmunson, who has been excellent for me. I said it this week once already. For me, standout player for me personally this season has been Gabby Goodmunson. So I want to see that battle and see how he gets on in that one. But that could be an important battle to limiting their chances this weekend. Also, rattle Richarlison. We all know what he's like. He's fiery. He's got a bit of a temper. He can lose the head. If he gets a bit off his game a little bit, he goes out of it completely. Get in his head a little bit. I want to see that from the Leeds defenders. Joe Road on the man for that, no doubt. And then a big piece, is, as always, will be the midfield battle. Leeds will have a 3 in there. They'll need to win that battle. The Spurs are missing 1 or 2 players. It'll be really, really important for Leeds to control that midfield as much as they can. Be dominant, keep possession, use it well, spread it out when they can, make the pitch as big as they can when they have the ball, make it as small as they can when they haven't, and press in numbers as well. And ideally try and win the ball back on the halfway line or in their half rather than sitting back on the edge of our 18-yard line and trying to do it there. So there's a lot of stuff in this game. It's going to be a good game. It's an exciting game. But I want to start holding this Leeds team to a little bit of a higher standard. I think this is a good Leeds side. I think they've shown this season that they absolutely belong in this division. Again, outside of Arsenal, it's an outlier. They're a very good side. Outside of that, every single game we've played in this season, we've competed. We haven't looked like a weaker side. I want to see the drop-off stop, especially the 70th minute. 80th minute, fine. But keep it in their faces. Believe in themselves. Sean Longstaff said it really well. I'm delighted that he is in this team to say that. When he scored his goal, he brought all the players together and he said to them, believe in yourselves. What are you doing? Sort your heads out. You belong in this place. Start acting like it and start playing like it. And I want to see that because I believe they do as well. And they've been very, very good. Right, let's get through the last set of comments before we wrap up. 8-Ball Ali in the house, 1-1 for me. Roxette were good live. They had a group called Clocheux. Warm up for them when I saw them. Clocheux were really good. Good. I never found anything by them. Okay, interesting. West Yorkshire Extra Game. I love 4-4-2. Shame it's not used much. Grayson's League 1 team played it. Yeah, played it well as well. Teddy St. Jared, do you stay with the same midfield? I don't. I forgot to do the team. Let's do that right now. Thanks, Teddy. Appreciate that, mate. Likely team. And again, personal opinion, what I think Daniel Farke will do as opposed to what I want. I think it remains unchanged. I don't think he's got the personnel to change it. Anyway, if Harry Gray doesn't make it, maybe Sebastian Borneo makes the bench. I wouldn't be against seeing Harvey Vincent from the under-21s in and around either. He's a right-sided player. Sorry, I got the hiccups now. He's a right-sided player. He's been very good for the under-21s. I wouldn't mind seeing him in and around on the bench either. But outside of that, probably as is. Fracker's not a man for changing, and he's in that. He does this every year. He gets into a little run of just playing the same team week in and week out. I would like to see some changes, but yeah, I think Telly. I think he'll go with the same side. Now, where were we? I've lost my spot now. We'll start from here. There we go. Okay. We'll go from here. Michael, given Leeds' team now compared to the previous team in the Premier League, like Roca, Forshaw, Adams, Llorente, and Aronson, who weren't strong enough in terms of physicality, this current Leeds team seem to have it. They do, and it's a very big, important factor of this Leeds side. Gary says Darlow needs a good game to give Farke a headache. I think he's done enough to give him a little bit of a headache, but if he has one bad game, that could be interesting. Karen says, in the words of Sean Longstaff, it's just another footballer in front of you. No fear. I love that rally cry. It's really, I'm delighted to hear that. And he says, it's the late goals that Leeds concede that get my goal. Yep, and something to work on. There's going to be something. We're not getting battered, but we need to tidy up. And that's all it is for me. It's not massive changes or massive criticism. Just tidy up a few bits and pieces. Paul says, Leeds play on the front foot at pace and defend to make sure they stay focused for 95 minutes. Don't switch off, especially with only 3 minutes to go. Yeah, it's a bit easier said than done, but yep, should be done. Scott says Brendan Aronson this time around in the Premier League versus last time is quite a difference. He's improved quite a bit, a little end product, and he'd hear no complaints. He's definitely more physical. The conversation about him being getting knocked off the ball doesn't stand up for me anymore. I think he's winning the ball back really well for Leeds. He's been very physical. He's winning free kicks. I'd like to see more output in terms of goals and assists. We'll see if that comes. If it doesn't, we'll see what comes in. But he's there to do a job at the moment, and he's doing it okay for me. Paul says, I hope that Daniel Farke makes changes. Yeah, just get them done and get them done early. It'll be nice to see. Jacko, I think we need to try and stay focused till the end of the game. I agree with you there. Scott is saying, I also feel like Rodon should get more credit. He's been phenomenal this season. The fact that we're not talking about him says how good he has been. You're talking about a centre-back who wasn't deemed to be Premier League level, was let go down to the Championship, has come back up with us. There's not a word being said, which means he's not doing anything wrong. More important than anything else. I'm talking about Pascal Stroke getting dragged out of position. Joe Rowland's doing nothing wrong, which is great. I think he's been brilliant. I love him. He's been brilliant. Jerry, would you change blooding Bial anytime soon? I'd like to see him come in, but I do understand that he's not getting into the team on merit right now. And you've got to say that's fair. It's the right way to do things. Jacko says we also need to take our early chances. We need to start taking a chance. DCL should have had a hat-trick last week. There's no getting away from that for me. But I think he might get a goal this week. We'll see. Well, Jer, is it a perfect answer to what we all want from Leeds United? Isn't it just? If Leeds are watching, do you need a coach? Bang on, Jer. Thanks, Luke. Dropping 3 points in a 90-plus minute is slightly annoying. Hopefully it doesn't bite us. 5 goals in the last 2 games is great. Not convincing. Not considering a huge amount bar 1 game. Squad depth's looking good. Absolutely. DCL is anxious. He needs goals. He'll get them. JD, I'm hoping that Daniel Farke has learned from the weekend. His presser intimated that he had made a mistake. I thought that as well. Sorry, I'm making balls of that line. Sorry, wait. Steve says, rattle Richarlison and he'll get a red card. That's what I'm thinking. Getting Richarlison upset, body him. He hates it. He's clumsy and he's selfish. Hello. I'm loving how competitive we've been so far this season. It's been the main foundation to what we've done this season, the competitiveness. Jacko says, I love Tanaka, but why would you chuck him in at the end of a game when he has not had much game time, which I completely agree. And definitely not on the right-hand side. Team talk done. It felt like a team talk. And I have my notes done like I would have done my team talks as well. So, yeah. Sorry if I'm a bit preachy. Old habits die hard. Longstaff has been brilliant. He absolutely has been. We can hold our own against most teams in this division. Sean Longstaff is a good motivator. We'll get the lads up. He will. Come on, Steve. Hey, Paul. Oh, my God. I just found stuff by Claude. Well, there you go. Wasn't tonight worthwhile? Karen says, no need to change the starting 11. Sub sooner, though. Yes, I agree. As has been said by yourself. I completely agree with you there. Ethan Ampadu wears the number 4 shirt with pride and does shithouse around the QT rep. Yeah, he does. He's been good this year. I'm very critical of Ethan Ampadu because I do think he's a very good footballer. I genuinely do. So I kind of hold him to a higher standard. But If I look at my scores on Finalysis this year that I put through, he's the best player in the team this year for me, which individual games I wouldn't have said so, but on average he has been. Show the video of Farke before the game. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Farke is too stubborn for his own good at times when it comes to making changes and substitutions. I'd say start Mechip. There's a lot of merits to starting Mechip. He holds the ball up probably better than Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin's very good at flicking it on, very good at running the channels. They're both very good old school number 9s with slightly different attributes for me. But yeah, I do like Lucas Mechip an awful lot. Owen says this team is only missing a shithouse expert and an accurate striker. It's missing a creative player. Someone who can find a pass, and this team could just click overnight. I like this team. I do like our team. Would love to see Aronson have an assist. His defensive work has been so good. It really has been. It's nice to be able to give him a bit of credit. I know there's people out there don't like Brendan Aronson for reasons of the past and everything else, but giving him credit where it's due. The player's grown. He's shown growth. He's shown an ability to listen and get stuck in. You got to give some credit there as well. Is there a coincidence that Calvin Phillips leaving in his prime from Leeds goes downhill? Well, maybe, yeah. Going away from home doesn't always work out, Andy, does it? And Richard Todd says, great to see DCL staying fit. Could be a major difference. I think he's key to us staying in the division this year. Absolutely do. Because he does definitely look like a top-end striker. And it's great to have him. West Yorkshire Retro Gamer, this team would click with a K. I see what you did there. Absolutely, yeah. And good evening to our stripper. How are you doing, mate? Good to see you again. We're wrapping up, though, folks. That'll be it for me this evening. Massive thanks, as always. If you want to support the channel, go watch today's news video. It's about 10 minutes long, but that would definitely help the channel this week. It's been a tough week again with the international break coming out next week. We will still be making news every day next week. We're going to get some different live streams and podcasts out for you next week as well. We're looking at talking about the European Cup final against Bayern Munich. Jerry McDermott might be joining us as well to give someone who remembers the game a bit clearer than the younger audience out there as well. And be delighted to get Jerry on as well and talk about that game and see how we're getting on. But massive thank you to everyone that's contributed this week, who's watched the videos, who's liked the videos, who's hyped the videos, and who's gotten in the comments as well. You're legends. I really appreciate every single one of you. Thank you very, very much for that. There's loads of comments flying in now. Really appreciate it. Thanks very much for joining me. And I will be back tomorrow morning for the final Leeds news of the week. And then we've got the watch along over on bigup.com. You can check it out there. And you can vote for us in the Football Content Awards as well. If you want to go to that Football Content Awards, Google that, you'll find it. And then go in there. We've got 2 categories we're nominated for. It'd be great to see it. They're in Ellen Road this year as well. I'll stop talking about it soon. The cut-off for that is the 12th of October. And if we make the shortlist, we're there. If we don't miss the shortlist, we're not. Nice to be nominated anyway. Doesn't really matter. Folks, enjoy the rest of your evenings. I'm going to go have my dinner. Talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.